Gosh, you beat me again. I demand a rematch, Luan shouted, sulking. Harry, Luan's older brother, and I caught each other's eyes and exchanged the same expression of annoyance. Luan had been making us replay dominoes for hours, and each time, his brother won. Unfortunately for me, I was stuck in the middle of my best friend and his brother. Tony, can't you ask one of your friends to come and play with Luan? I need to go right now, Harry suddenly said after glancing at his phone. Luan and I exchanged an annoying glance. Why? Are you dating someone new? Luan decided to press his buttons. Something grave came over Harry's features. He just stood up and walked away without replying to either of us. It was 10 p.m. I knew for a fact he was not a party person. No, all of this suspicious behavior was the norm for him. I bet you it is a new spy mission, Luan suggested as we started another game. I think it could be. It would explain why his memory is so good. It was his first time, yet he wiped the floor with us. Is there anything your brother is not good at? I whispered scandalously. Oh, he is good at everything, especially at keeping secrets. But I tell you, when I find out what his secret is, Michelangelo is mine. He grinned evilly. We had made a bet many years ago that the first person to correctly guess what his brother did would get whatever they wanted. He wanted my rare guitar that I had named the Michelangelo. It was the love of my life. I would never let him win. As for myself, I wanted one of his game passes. It was super pricey and he spent months saving for it. Let us say that we had a lot at stake. But that was just how we were. We had been friends since we were 3, knew everything about each other, and were incredibly comfortable with each other. I did not come out to him, he came out to me. When someone in our class called me out for being gay, he did not hesitate to shut them up with a punch. I tried to explain everything to him later on, but he told me that he already knew, and that he would never judge me for it. Because of him, I had the courage to come out to my family when the time came. Now we were 22. His brother, Harry, was now 25. He stayed with his brother while I had my own place not so far away. We were always with each other when we were not doing our internships. Luan's brother was still studying some engineering courses. His brother paid for 3/4 of the rent using his job. No one in the family knew what his job was. We had asked, but he told us that he signed an NDA. For years, we had been making guesses at what he might be doing. Trust me, we have made many suggestions, some of them a bit stupid. I can admit that the mystery made everything about Harry so much hotter. Despite knowing him for years, it still felt like I had layers to peel back when it came to him. It never felt like I quite knew him. I always found something new about him every day, and that was why I had a crush on him. I assumed that he was straight, but I had never seen him with a girl. I knew he liked his job, loved his brother, and worked very hard at school. I appreciated days like this when I got to see Harry and spend time with him. I was interrupted from my thoughts by Luan screaming very loudly. When I checked, I realized I had one domino left, and he had placed his last one in place. I sighed in relief. Finally, he would let me go. Man, I have to go. I have to finish up some stuff for work. I'm also tired, and Monday is in less than a day. I put down the controller as a final promise. Fine. I will let you go. But before you go, can you check my bathroom sink? I've been meaning to ask you about that. Luan reminded me as he started to pack up. I agreed and made my way to the bathroom. The house was set up in such a way that for me to get to the bathroom, I had to pass by Harry's room. As I passed by his room, I heard a sound. It sounded like heavy music blasting through. When I looked at his door, I noticed that Harry had left it open. Just the thought of his computer being on while he was not home made a million scenarios run through my head. This was why I was always fixing things around the house because of how paranoid I easily got. I decided to dip in for a while and switch things off. I put his laptop to sleep and the music went off. I then checked to see if he did not leave anything unplugged, then noticed that his desk was cluttered. Harry's scent was still so strong where he sat before Luan called him. I found myself moving closer and inhaling it for a second. As this was happening, my eyes roamed over his desk. It dawned on me that I had never been in his room before. He always had it locked, but today seemed to be an exception. My eyes skimmed over the diagrams he was drawing for school, and then I decided to get out. But before I could do that, something caught my eye. It was a paper that was annotated. I read through it, and it vaguely sounded familiar. but I was not sure from where. Try as I might, my mind would not wrap around what this writing on the paper was about. I read further, realizing that it was a scene from some play. I had no idea he was in the arts. It appeared he was multi-talented. Maybe he was an actor and that was why this was familiar. Or better yet, a scriptwriter. I decided to drop it and stop giving myself a headache. I closed the door behind me and went about my day. Later that night, I could not sleep. It was official. No matter how tired I was, I could not get my mind to shut down. I knew there was only one remedy for this, but I did not want to do it. I was trying to control my urges because it was unhealthy to be in love with someone I had never seen before. Several years ago, I discovered this platform of stories. On this platform, voice actors narrated short stories and scenes for adults. The best part? They had a whole section dedicated to gay stories. When I discovered that section, I was hooked. For years, I have listened to those stories before bed. I have a certain creator that I especially love. I never missed any of his uploads. There was just something about him and his voice that draws me in. It feels like he's talking to me personally. It is my little secret, not even Luan knows. We are close, but draw boundaries when it comes to intimate lives. I've been in love with that creator's content for years. I've found myself addicted to his voice, laughter, and mannerisms. I know that I will never meet him, but in the moments when I listen to him, nothing matters. I've been trying to limit how much I listen to his content because I feel like it is too much, but I always lose this battle. Now it was another Saturday night when I was listening to his deep, velvety voice. I noticed that he had something new up, a new part to a mini-series he did some weeks back. I quickly clicked on it and relaxed. 2 seconds into it, my eyes popped open. I was absolutely petrified with disbelief. This was the script I read on Harry's desk earlier. This was why it had been familiar, because the style of the writing was the same, the characters, everything. Now it made so much sense. This was Harry's job and that was why he did not want to tell us. The whole time I had a crush on Harry, both in real life and online. What a weird coincidence and such a bummer that I could not tell anyone. I knew he had his reasons for keeping his secrets. I was not going to confront him about it. But how the hell was I going to be able to look at him the same again? 2 days later, as I was settling down into my couch and watching some TV, I got a text. "Hey, do you want to go to the store with me? My brother is working." It was Harry. My mouth dropped. No way. Now that I wanted to avoid him, he was looking for me. I started to type out an excuse, but I stopped myself. I wanted to confirm this. I needed to analyze his voice and the way he spoke just to be sure. Besides, I had a day off and needed to replace some things in the house. "As long as you are driving," I shot a text back. I quickly made my way to the shower, freshened up, and then I rushed to Harry's apartment. "Cool shirt," Harry said when he saw me. I looked away as I thanked him. I did not know why I was blushing so much. I felt so much like a complete fool. I could not look him in the eyes after I felt so much for his voice. It was different from the little crush I had on him knowing that he would never be mine. Now I could not help but observe everything about him. He was just how I pictured my favorite voice actor, only a little quiet. I realized that the voice was the same, except for the slight accent. The drive to the store was quiet. We stuck to neutral topics until we got there. We did our shopping and then we started to make our way back to the car. I noticed that as usual, he bought a certain drink. So I asked him. "That is usually for people who want to preserve their voice. Let me guess, you were on some Hannah Montana stuff?" I joked as I looked at him daringly, having no idea where the courage came from. Harry chuckled and I could feel the feeling in my toes. "You are a curious one. Why do you care what I do anyway? I'm able to live a comfortable life and it makes me happy." He shrugged as he loaded the food into the car. "I guess I do not. Or maybe I just want to know." "Sorry for asking." I shrugged, feeling embarrassed. Harry looked at me like he wanted to say something, but then he stayed silent. I realized that he had dropped something, so I bent down to pick it up. As I did so, I slightly caressed him. I felt him inhale a little. "Did I hurt you?" I asked as I handed him the item that had fallen. I do not hurt. Your bracelet just has a bit of an edge. That is all. I wanted to ask you something. He started, but then my phone rang. I answered and it was Luan. Tell me you are at the store, Luan begged from the other side. I need some stuff for a project. I sent a list. Please do this for me and leave the stuff in my room. Luan added. I agreed immediately and told Harry what his brother said. Our earlier conversation, as confusing as it had been, was forgotten. Later that afternoon. After shopping, we went to Harry and Luan's apartment. I have to go and check on some emails. You can wait for Luan if you want, Harry said as soon as we entered the house. Sure, what did you want to ask me again? I reminded him. Harry looked at me for a moment. His gaze was intense, and I felt myself getting super nervous. He came closer to me without saying anything. He seemed to think for a second and then chuckled to himself. Oh, no, I wanted to ask you about it, but I do not think it's alright to do that. Thanks for today. He smiled a rare smile and then went back into his room. I noticed that today he was less energetic. It must have been those odd hours he kept and the studying he had to do. Now he was going to have to deal with Luan, who did not understand that he was tired. I decided that I would allow him to rest. I knew from online announcements that he said he was experiencing some issues with his voice occasionally cracking, so he was taking longer to upload. That evening, I made sure to keep Luan from him. About a month later. A month had gone by, and I had not been able to bring myself to listen to his work again. Every time I did, Harry came to my mind. He was my best friend's brother. I could not do that to him. I found myself listening to other creators, but I did not connect to them the same way I did with him. In person, I mostly avoided Harry. I did not want him to ever know that I knew. I felt like it would make things weird between us and maybe ruin the friendship that we had. So, instead, I tried to act as normally as possible and stay away. However, that backfired on me. Luan thought I was trying to stay away from him because he was annoying. Luan confronted me one afternoon while we had some cold drinks outside. Harry was sitting in a chair with a book over his head. He had fallen asleep while reading. Luan kept on grilling me about what I was so busy with. I'm sorry, I'm just so tired lately, I explained, feeling annoyed for the millionth time. Why? I know your schedule. Am I tiring you? Luan gave me those puppy dog eyes. What he did not know was that I was fighting with myself. I missed his older brother's voice when he whispered forbidden pleasures, and it was driving me insane. My eyes wandered to him, and I involuntarily groaned. See, you are tired of me, he sighed. Okay, the truth is there is someone I am sort of seeing, but it is a secret, I confessed. That was as close to the truth as possible. Suddenly, Luan exclaimed, And you did not tell me? I'm so happy for you, Luan exclaimed once again and then hugged me. Over his shoulder, I caught the eye of his brother who was looking directly at me. The look in Harry's eyes was so weird. I could not decipher what Harry meant with that stare, but my mind was preoccupied with the lie that I had just proudly declared. 2 nights later. It was 2 nights after I saw Harry, and I was bored. I knew what I wanted to do, but I was trying to control myself. Oh gosh, let me just a little bit, I said to myself. I missed his stories and compelling voice as he weaved the most delicious narratives. Before I could stop myself, I searched the site on the website. I then started to listen to the stories. I listened to more and more of them until I was sated. I listened to all of them and thought of Harry. I thought of every little interaction I had with him over the past month, how it had been electrifying and had left me insane. I thought of it all and cursed myself for being so stalker-like. As this was happening, there was suddenly a knock on the door. I stopped, ashamed. I put my phone away and went to open it. You? I asked as my eyes met Harry's. There is no one you are seeing, right? And that was the first thing he asked. I stared at him gobsmacked. Why the hell do you care? I asked. The next thing he said surprised me to no end. How did he know? For the past month, you have avoided everything I've posted. You have not viewed or liked anything, nor have you commented," Harry said as he smirked. What in the world? My heart was in my throat. Again, how did he know? What the hell are you talking about? I rolled my eyes. Deep down, I knew what he was talking about, but I did not want to admit it. You know what my job is, don't you? You have known since that day you entered my room without permission. You rearranged the scripts in the wrong order. Get in. I practically dragged him into the house. Damn, gentle Tony can be a bit rough as well. Harry giggled. I glared at him and then closed the door. Gosh, I was flustered and so embarrassed. I can explain. I'm so freaking sorry. I stumbled upon that script by accident. I did not say anything because I did not want you to feel too awkward. I rambled on nervously. I could not look at him. I needed him to leave. It is then that he gave me a smile. Thank you for not saying anything. At first, I thought my brother was the one who moved my script around, but I know him. He would have reacted immediately. You, on the other hand, started acting weird around me. But you know what gave it away? He asked, his voice low and conversational. What? My voice came out high-pitched. Please look at me. Please do not be scared. I do not want to cause you discomfort in your own home. He said in a calm manner. I took a seat on the couch and gestured for him to do the same. What gave you away was the shirt you were wearing the next day. It reminded me of a certain listener I have. I have a subscriber who has never missed a video I uploaded. I read comments when I can, and I remember seeing your username years ago. Harry explained. You figured out who I was because of my shirt? I laughed. Yes, the shirt and your username have a correlation. Honestly, I did not think you would be into what I did. I also noticed how quiet you were after you found out who I was. The last confirmation I needed was coming here. Harry concluded. I just sat there and looked at him, unsure of what to do. I'm so sorry, I said once again. There is no need to. It is good to meet a fan. Sometimes being anonymous sucks. He shrugged. Well, your work has meant a lot to me, and for what it is worth, no one will ever know what I know. Thank you for coming here tonight and letting me know you know. I will delete my account and we can forget about this. I braved those last few words because they were hard for me to say. The mood seemed to change suddenly after that. He was closer now and his eyes were more confident. Why would I want that? You are the only person who sees me for who I am, beyond my voice. I have to admit, there is something alluring about it. His voice got lower. Gosh, the goosebumps came on strong. But you are my best friend's brother. I was not quite sure where this was going. It didn't stop you from checking me out. He smirked. I opened my mouth to protest, but he shook his head. We both know it is true. See, I used to shake it off. I thought you were innocent as hell. I did not want to corrupt you. I still won't. Unless you want me to. Harry said sensually. Despite knowing better, I found myself leaning in closer to him. And now, what do you think? I responded coyly. Now that I know the kind of things you like and the way you feel when you listen to my voice, I am curious. I'm here now. What do you want to do to me? A mischievous glint came out. A persona I had never seen before came to light. Every thought left my mind. All I could think about was the moment that I had been waiting for forever was now here. I found myself leaning in, my heart beating faster with each second. He did not move away. He continued to stare at me and entice me further. As I was getting lost in his gaze, he said, I am going to take you. Then came a loud vibration. He jumped at the same time as me. After a second, I realized that one of us sat on my phone. My phone. Sorry about that. I laughed nervously as I located it and put it away. I looked at him again, thinking of carrying on with my mission. I must go, he suddenly said, and then he got up. He was out the door before I could even say something, making me think that it had all been in my head. What did I just do? A week later.
I was just finishing up a video call with my mom when I received a text from Luan.
Hey, I know you were busy with the new relationship and all, but would you want to come to celebrate Brianna's birthday on Saturday? She is finally coming into town.
Hey, sorry, it has been a bit difficult, but of course, I would love to. I sent back. It had been a week and I had avoided my best friend's house. I felt so embarrassed for myself. I also felt a bit sad. I had been hoping to kiss his brother, but clearly Harry had no such thoughts. I told myself that it was just a crush and that it would fade. I just needed to spend some time with my best friend and forget about all this. Yes, I could do that.
Saturday. I was at Luan's place and ready to bring my friend away to the party. I knew better than to knock. Both Luan and I had grown out of that habit in the years we had known each other. Even before entering, I called out to him.
Luan, why are you taking so long to get ready?
I thought Brianna was the one having the birthday. Instead of finding Luan, I was met with a back I was all too familiar with. Harry turned around and stared at me.
Where is Luan?
I asked.
He said you can meet him there. I did not know you were coming to this side. I ran out of clean shirts, so I came to borrow one here.
Harry clarified. Sorry for disturbing you, I said as I backed away.
Wait.
Harry's voice stopped me in my tracks. I turned around and gave him an inquisitive look. What could he want?
I'm sorry for running out on you like that. I promise it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with me.
He admitted the truth. It was stupid for me to think you would want to kiss me. There is no need for you to apologize. I smiled tightly.
I see. I remember that you said you were seeing someone. I assumed you were not, but you never corrected me. When your phone went off, I was startled. I guess I got a bit freaked out and confused.
He admitted. I do not have one. I lied when I said that because I was trying so hard to avoid you. I tried not to think of kissing you every time that I saw you. I admitted shamefully. I was looking down when I told Harry this.
What if I wanted you to kiss me?
He caught me off guard with this question. I would kiss you, I blurted out before I could even control myself. I stepped closer and noticed that he was struggling to button up his shirt. Even though he was usually calm and collected, there was no such thing anymore. I went and took over and quickly buttoned it up for him. Done. I smiled as he just stared into my eyes. I was about to say something to break the awkward silence when he pulled me closer, putting our lips together. My word, the anticipation had been worth it because he kissed me so well. I've been kissed before, but never with such emotion and dedication. He kissed me as if he was trying to say something to me, and I let him. I forgot all else and focused on this. I had been wrong. The kiss was so much better than I thought. I deepened the kiss as my hands tangled in his hair. Somehow, he leaned back onto the bed and I fell on top of him. That did not stop us. We tumbled on the bed for what must have been 10 minutes, not speaking at all. Eventually, we had to stop because I got a text. Are you on the way yet? Luan texted me. I am. Give me a minute. I shot back. Your brother is asking about me, I explained.
Okay, you can go for now, but we will finish this later.
He smirked. I got up and was at the door when he said, You owe me an iron shirt. His voice was filled with amusement. I could not stop smiling. The next morning, after the birthday, I slept at Luan's house. I was too tired to make it home. It was a long night of fun. All I wanted to do when I entered his apartment was sleep. I remember that at some point in the night, someone came to put an extra blanket on me. I always liked extra blankets because I got cold easily. When I woke up, it was close to noon. I had nothing to do, so I thought of having some cereal before heading home. When I went to the kitchen, I saw Harry standing there making pancakes.
You like your coffee strong, with no milk and 1 sugar, right?
Harry asked, staring at me with a certain look in his eyes. Yes, you remember, I remarked.
I've known you for ages. It would be dumb if I did not remember.
I proceeded to take a seat and watch him make food. About 5 minutes later, he laid an omelet and some coffee in front of me. We sat in silence eating for a while. I could not help thinking about how the kiss was the night before. I'd been thinking about it all night. I wondered if it was the first of many. A couple of minutes later, Luan and Brianna appeared. Luan remarked about how he had never gotten coffee from his brother, but I did. I laughed it off, but it made me feel special. I wondered if Harry was the one who put the blanket on me in the middle of the night. After eating, my suspicion was confirmed. I asked who the blanket belonged to, and Harry responded that it was his nonchalantly. He would have probably done this for anyone else, I told myself. Inside, I was feeling very warm and mushy. A week later, things between Harry and me were heated all week. We exchanged glances every time we saw each other. Sometimes our hands touched, which made me feel a certain type of way. He knew what he was doing to me. It was excruciating, but I was willing to play the game. One particular evening, I came over for a gaming session with his brother. I had come straight from the barber and was feeling myself. I'd been getting looks all the way home, which was how I knew I looked very good. "Before you start playing, Tony, can you come and check something in my room? I think something is wrong with my outlet." Harry interrupted before we could start the game. Luan complained about his brother interrupting him, but I was more than willing to help Harry out. As soon as I entered Harry's room, he closed the door behind him. When I asked him which outlet had an issue, he asked me what I was talking about. I was incredibly confused when he came closer to me. He looked at me in a very intimidating way and then smirked. "I've been trying to send hints to you all week. Finally, I have you alone," he said. I acted lost even though I knew exactly what he meant. I smiled as he leaned down and gently kissed me. I came out of the room 20 minutes later looking flushed. Luan commented on how breathless I was, so I told him that it was a lot of work. I caught Harry smirking when I said that. I sent a text before we started the game to Harry. "You do know that you have to finish what you started, right?" 2 weeks later. Harry had been sneaking over almost every night for 2 weeks. We were now in bed together, talking after some exercise. "Are you sure that he suspects nothing?" I asked Harry as I caressed his chest. He had come to my place straight after work. Now we were cuddling and speaking. That had been our routine for the past 2 weeks. When his brother was around, we acted normal. "No, he already feels I am too mysterious. But thank you for covering me when you can. I just don't know what my family will do when they uncover this secret part of me," he revealed. "I do know Luan would accept you," I offered. "Even then, you're his friend who I've been crushing on. He might take it badly." Harry sighed. "The last thing I want to do is hurt him, but I will say that I also want you to think for yourself, for your own pleasure. You do a lot for the family, even for the world. If this is what you want, why can't you have it?" I asked. He thought for a moment. "Maybe you are right. I want to continue this, whatever it is and wherever it leads." And that was his conclusion. Okay, that works for me. I smiled up at him. A month later. I got home, tired and wanting to sleep, but when I entered my room, the light was on. On the bed was Harry, shirtless and with a rose in his hand. My fatigue suddenly disappeared. "The scene!" I said, knowing exactly which scene he wanted to recreate with me. I guess there were advantages to having a voice actor as a lover. We decided to take things slow and not put labels on anything. Since we already had the foundation of friendship, it was easy for us to get along and communicate. We wanted to see where this went, but there was no rush. If we fell for each other deeper, then we would tell his brother. If things did not work out, we would go back to being friends. What we wanted to do now was to live in the moment. "I heard you got a promotion. I wanted to do a little something for you, but first, you must eat," he said as he got off the bed, killing the moment almost immediately. "Say less, let us go," I replied, not questioning him. He already had the keys to my room. I did not mind him waiting for me when I came home from work. So we sat, had dinner, and then watched a movie. He made my favorite food, which I was surprised he even knew. "How did you know what I liked?" I asked curiously. "Definitely telepathy," he teased. I snuggled a bit closer to him as we watched the movie. "Luan told me. I just wanted to do something nice for you. You have honestly been a great stress reliever for the past few weeks," he confessed. "You have as well. If I had known that you felt the same way, I would have made a move sooner," I said, a little shyly. "Same here, but I am glad about the way things turned out. At least there is one person in my life that I do not have to pretend with. I am thankful that you have been so respectful and supportive throughout everything." Harry turned to look at me, and we stared at each other for a while. "It is the least I can do for the person who made my life so much better for years when I had no idea he was right in front of me. I do not think you understand how your voice helped me to deal with many depressing moments in my life. I'm so thankful for that," I shared. "I'm glad to meet someone whose life I've touched. You have made me think about my line of work very differently. I had no idea I was making any difference, but thank you." He smiled as he gave me a peck. I pulled him in for a longer one. Conclusion: we are still seeing each other and growing closer every day. His brother knows I am seeing someone but has no idea who the person is. I want to tell him, but not yet, because the truth is intertwined with Harry's job. Therefore, Harry and I plan to tell him everything at the same time. We know he loves us and would accept us, but it is not easy. The end. Have you ever crushed on someone who is off limits? Did you tell them or keep it to yourself?
Thanks for watching. And hey, if you enjoyed our stories, consider supporting us on Ko-Fi and join our Rainbow Force to help us bring more LGBTQ+ stories to life and to stay wholesome.